and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we discuss issues related to women but also related to family, because women are a core component of any family. Today we are taking a look at new age parenting, because I think there are new age kids, so parents also have to evolve with the times. Were the old methods better? Are we mollycoddling our kids? Are we preparing our kids for the harsh realities of tomorrow? And are we the only parents in the picture? Because there is, of course, the social media also that has a lot of influence. So that is something we're going to be discussing. I have with me on the show Urvashi Malik. She is a founder and managing director at College Core Education, which is a college consulting firm. So anybody who wants to go after get into colleges abroad, Urvashi is the person to meet. I have Savleen Thadani. She's a member of the Vellums Alumni Committee, WGAA, and she's also a national bridge player. And Anjali Mandal, she's a former teacher at DPS RK She's been teaching for 18 years. She also runs a teacher training program, and she's an author of children's books. Urvashi, you are really, been dealing with, I think, anxious kids and anxious parents also. So how do you see the parenting that has changed over the years?
I think the world around us has changed. The world we are living in is so different from the one we grew up in. I mean, there's so much of academic pressure, there's instant social media comparisons, there's shrinking joint families, and parents who are pressured and more anxious than ever. And I don't think the parenting has evolved to keep up with this. And the way it's evolved is a little different. The way it's evolved is that we are being hyper protective right now. Jumping in very quickly, easing out any kind of issues the students are facing, cushioning every fall. So we're not really preparing them for the real world. And that's what I see happening more than anything else with the parents I deal with.
That, are we preparing them for the real world? Yes, of course, children, you don't want to be too harsh also, but it's a very fine balance really to walk.
That's true. I think, from the old traditional parenting to the, the comparison between the two, I feel, this new concept of, while communication is very good, old age parenting, lacked communication for sure. Children were meant to be seen and not heard, and whatever parents said was like, end of story, you couldn't discuss it further. But I think, the good thing about new parenting is communication for sure. Children are more individualistic, and, you can kind of, they talk about their feelings, which are heard. They kind of makes them stronger emotionally, But I think giving a free hand to a child very early on because you want to let them be is also not particularly good, Because it's like a child from 7 to 14. And you say, you decide what you want to do. Or the child doesn't want to study math, but he wants to take up art. I mean, sure, you can have an interest in art, but do the basics, because you're going to keep changing. I mean, it could be wrong decisions at the end of the day. So that's, a certain parents are meant to kind of guide the children through, help them through, and at certain times take decisions for them because they're not capable. So if you don't do that for the child and say we are letting our children be, I don't really think that's right.
So Anjali, you've also been interfacing parents and children. So, it's a very tough one.
So I think, because I taught very young children, and a lot of the parents, sometimes, I think what happens is that, when you become a parent, there's a basic thing that all parents have to do universally, which is, it is their duty to tell them, the right and the wrong. I mean, they're universal things like being polite, not stealing, not lying, not cheating, good habits and all these things. So these are not negotiable things. But I think now what's happening is that a lot of parents are very scared of saying no to their children. So even young children, a lot of parents are constantly giving in. And also I think maybe a lot of parents now, there's a lot of work pressure on the parents. They're working longer hours. So they're exhausted by the time they come home. And giving in is just easier than, sort of holding your ground. And because it's a very simple thing, like, children should be taught no means no. So a lot of times that is, no means no, but half an hour later the whole story changes.
Correct.
So that is something which is not a good thing, because later on the same children who are not used to hearing a no, and later on these children are going to become entitled adults.
Yeah.
So there's been a shift, I think, from earlier.
So entitled adults, and also, I was reading this book, The Anxious Generation, which says the great rewiring of, kids, the role of smartphones also. And these are kids in their late 80s, 90s who are now, you are dealing with them because now they want to join colleges. So, can you compare with the earlier lot of kids, and are these kids easier to deal with, more difficult?
No, they're much tougher to deal with because you're right. I mean, the book, their title is absolutely apt.
Huh.
These kids are very, very anxious because they've never been allowed to fail. We've been so quick to save them from any kind of situation
So correct.
that might be an obstacle or a conflict. So we haven't allowed them to fail. They don't know how to recover from a failure anymore. So as soon as they're faced with a failure, it's sort of the end of the world. Close the walls around yourself and say, I'm a failure, I can't do anything in life. So
No,
anxiety is
and-
very high.
And what you're saying is absolutely right, Urushi, because we've seen the rising number of suicides amongst kids also. And some of them are for reasons like, the child was ticked off for carrying a cell phone to class, or did not make the grades, or, failed in some subject, because they don't know how to fail. They've not been allowed to fail.
They haven't been allowed to fail. They haven't learned how to recover because kara hi nahi aaj tak. They haven't managed to do anything themselves. The parents are so quick to do everything for them. If there's a problem in school, they'll be the first to speak to the teacher before the teacher can handle the child. You're handling the teacher.
Yeah, correct.
So if there's a conflict between friends, again you're stepping in and trying to handle that. You have to let them be. You have to let them to learn how to manage their own lives.
Yeah,
And
let go.
fail and make little failures, but those failures are going to be in a safe, controlled environment rather than failing as adults when it's not going to be as safe as it is while they're in school or growing up with parents.
Yeah, and that is also reflected in the mark sheet. Early on, we all got those mark sheets with reds and crosses and fail. And abhi to, I think the grading system is also such that fail hai nahi.
They're so mollycoddled. You look at the report cards from the new age schools. I mean, we used to get a one-page report card which said a red mark or the attendance was bad. Now the report card runs into 20 pages and the teachers are spending hours writing those reports because you have to sort of sugarcoat whatever you say.
That's the problem. The sugar coating that is happening. Yeah.
It's creative writing actually now.
Yes. You must have done, Anjali, a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
those
creative
reports.
writing because there are a lot of things you can't say. And I mean, having said that, it's not that you want to say bad things, for the thing. For the parents also, they don't want to, they've got their, defense mechanism. It's like, how can you speak like this about my child? So also, I think what happens is like living in Delhi, joint families are very good also. But also what happens is a lot of the children, even if the parents are talking to them and telling them about, boundaries and things which should be done, not done, a lot of the times the other family members step in and they don't let it happen. Because I had mothers, when I was teaching, a lot of mothers used to come to me and say, okay, can you speak to my mother-in-law? Or can you speak to my father-in-law? I said, I think that will be like overstepping it. I mean, I don't want to do that. But because, whatever the mother was saying very often, it's okay. It's like, if the child doesn't go to school one day, how does it matter? The parents are talking like that, the family members. So, the parents have a very big responsibility. Till the child is about 8 years old, a lot of the habits are formed. So a lot of brain development also takes place at that time. So you can't just let them run amok. And this whole thing, this other thing that, a 7-year-old child, he's my best friend. A 7-year-old child is not your best friend. You're the mother and you're the father. So, you have a job to do and you should do it. And when the children are older and they are mature adults, every decade your relationship with your children changes. So, you can become friends at a later stage. But right now, I think they also want a parent
That's
who
the
can
point.
advise them and give them some, because parents are somebody children look up to.
Yeah, so that's the thing, Savleen, parents, and I think parents are also getting used to the new rules, the new ways of playing the game also, because if
I
they
think,
are
along with anxious children, like what Rishi was saying, they're also anxious parents.
parents, yeah.
It is, there's peer pressure amongst parents as well. I mean, I've seen, I've seen parents, mothers discussing how many classes is your child going to, and have you put her in this, have you put her in that. So, I think while you talk of individualistic growth in today's parenting, there is still some kind of a bhelchal happening. You know, there are parents who are just running to the same tutor. There are parents who are running to the same sports coach. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, you know, while we were growing up, I mean, maybe because we didn't know any better, we grew up like that. We were more resilient than the children of today.
That is,
You know, we learned to deal with failure. Maybe we didn't know words like, you know, the discrimination beyond a point. You know, maybe we didn't understand these different sexual grades everyone has been put into. You know, so it was just like life was simpler. But now, you know, social media is one parent and the parent is the second parent.
yeah.
So with social media, you don't know you know, earlier the information given to the child was controlled. You could buy your child a book and say, okay, this is what you should read and this is what's good for you. But now you don't know, even you don't know what your kid is reading and they probably will not tell you, you know. So the influx of information coming to the children is too much. Instant gratification is like the highest point. Attention spans are decreasing. So it's very tough. I talk to my daughter who's almost 22, and when I hear her stories vis-a-vis her friends and her, you know, people around her, I think they just have so much on their plate. You almost feel bad for them, saying, you know, we didn't have to deal with any of this. The pressure to look good, the pressure to perform, the pressure to do well in class, the pressure to be popular, the pressure to be invited to every party. It's just too much for them to handle.
And the pressure to take the perfect holiday, the pressure to, you
Correct.
know, that. So that's the other thing, the role of social media. How much has that impacted? And that comes in.
I think it's a big impact because before you've even told your parents it's on social media.
That's true.
Are you invited to this party? You know it because the others are there and you're not there at that party. If someone's got into a certain college, it's there for the world to see, even your parents to see, and you haven't got into that college. So yeah, a lot of pressures because of social media and the instant gratification that you mentioned. Now that's because of this instant gratification, instant answers, instant entertainment. These kids haven't learned patience and they can't deal with delayed gratification in any way.
That's true. And also the problem of choices, you know, especially for you all, because you do college counseling for, you know, kids to go abroad. Early on, हमारे time तो बहुत simple था, you know, there was physics, chemistry, science stream, or arts, so, you know, there was very silos. Now it's, so is that also helping, adding to the confusion?
To some extent, but I welcome this confusion. I'd rather you get this confusion and choose what you want to study than be put in silos.
As a known choice.
Yeah.
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 So that's a good thing at least.
I think it's a good thing.
Fair point. But, Anjali, you know, it's the confusion. You've dealt with nursery level kids also. How much of it is the kid saying it? How much is the parent saying it?
See, for small children, I think, you know, a lot of the time it's the parents. You know,
coming in.
they're the ones who pass on the anxieties to their children because, you know, very often, like when the children used to come in, it's the first child in the family. So the parents are also anxious because, you know, first time parents. But then there's a lot of, you know, they put a lot of pressure on their child because as you said about the failing thing, you know, that's, I mean, I've seen it, you know, parents, they want their child to be first, come first in everything. They would ask us, you know, nursery mein, you know, like, what are the grades? Like, are there exams? No, there are no exams. No, where does my child stand in the class? I said, how does it matter? Is your child happy coming to school? That's the important thing. So the parents pass on this anxiety. You know, you must be, if there's a Ramayan, you must be Ram. If there's a something else, you must be in the forefront, always in the limelight. So they don't teach them also the art of that.
You can be the Ravan also.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly, you know. So, and then they, you know, they talk badly about the teachers also at home sometimes. And the teachers are trying to do their best. But, you know, the parents are the ones also who pass on the anxieties to their children because they just want them to be the best in everything.
The pressure starts much earlier. I'm going to talk to Sabrina about this, but after a very quick break, so stay with us. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. Today, this week, we're discussing new age parenting and the demands that are on our kids and the parents, whether it's because of social media, peer pressure, all kinds. There's a whole new, game over there that's going on right now. But Sabrine, there is also some good. We've of course talked about the negatives, but what are the positives that you see in today's kids that you say, apart from what she said, the choices? I think that's one.
I think that's a big one. The choice to be what you want to be, if you can make a passion into a profession, I think there's nothing like it.
That's very well put.
So that is a big, big one. Secondly, I think just realization of more empathy towards the world around us, understanding of what all is happening around the world. Social media has also made the world a very small place. Whatever's happening in, the other part of the world is available to you in the next 2 minutes. So I think biggest advantage in terms of, choices, like I said, is, passion to profession, but also communication. What we lacked in our generation was communication with our parents and families.
Yeah.
So we were always, like something as small as going to spend a night over at your friends was a big deal. So a lot of times, like, you were always in denial of things, right? So I think the balance has to be, and now kids have too much, there is no denial. And when there is no denial, there is no motivation to do better, to perform better, because life is good already.
Correct.
So it's a very thin line between the two. But I think the balanced approach, and the most important thing, no matter what kind of parenting we all give or get, unconditional love at home, to feel heard and wanted, to find home as a place you can just go whenever you're having a bad day and just kind of put your feet up and, be yourself. If any parent is able to provide that to the children, I think that's good parenting.
But the problem now is that safe space is on your children find that homing instinct is on the mobile phone. And that's where the problem starts, because our parents losing control over their kids.
Yes, with so much of social media sort of being available, they're finding the answers there. They might not go to their parents to ask for answers. I mean, before you have the time for a sex talk, they know all about it. It's already been taken care of. Before you've started talking about careers, they've done their bit of reading and have come to their own decisions. So yeah, I don't think we can blame parents for the parenting. You have to blame the way the world is now.
All right. Okay, and what are the new age careers that are coming in today that you can advise?
So there are some brilliant careers coming up. There's careers which never existed earlier. So if I look at technology, there's cybersecurity, there's AI, there's robotics. If we look at media, then there is UI, UX sort of programming. There's, if you look at, so every field, whether it's history or it's archaeology or it's, they're brilliant careers coming up. There's product management, which never existed earlier.
Yeah.
There's product design, there's automobile design, there's so much these kids are doing. It's so exciting to be working with them because they're busy exploring these options and actually pursuing them.
Which is?
And it's a pleasure seeing them, guiding them through this journey and seeing them reach somewhere.
That's true. Your passion is your profession. I love that. But also kids now don't hesitate taking a gap year. Hamare time to there was, we had a set timetable and like, what is this gap year all
Well, I
about?
also took a gap year actually. So.
Okay, well done.
So I don't know if I can
live to tell the tale.
Yeah, but I think it's a good thing if they do, because they can decide what they want to do at a later. I mean, if they're just taking that time off to just scout around and see what is the best option for them. But also I think, what you're saying, social media is one thing, but I think communication with the parents and the children, that's always very important. And I think maybe a lot of parents now are also, there's a lot more communication happening between the parents and the children, which is a good thing because, the house should be, parents, it should be like a cushion. So no matter what happens outside, they can come back and say, but that does not mean that when they were growing up, you should have taken an easy step and, not sort of spoken to them a lot more, like what we were saying about the do's and the don'ts.
I think parents also have unreal expectations sometimes, I mean, if you've, as a parent, if you've been an average student, you were a backbencher, etc., suddenly to expect your child to kind of overperform in everything he or she does and, you know, come out with flying colors is also putting those unreal expectations, your own unfulfilled dreams, get passed on to the children, which is again not a good thing. It's just kind of, you know, it's difficult for the kid. The kids get confused with all this.
Yeah, a lot of parents exactly want, you know, I couldn't have this when I was a child or this thing, so let me, you know, let my child, let me live through my child.
So I think what that does is they tend to over-govern a child's life. Decide the deadlines, decide when he's going to take an exam, decide which college he's going to apply for, which career he's going to pursue. All decisions they want to take for the child. And we're doing a lot of damage with that because we're not allowing them to build decision-making capabilities. And once they get to college and they're faced with a difficult situation, you're going to have a complete meltdown in that situation because they've never been taught to take their own decisions. So that is something that they need to step back from.
And also, yes, of course, you know, it's good to sensitize the child, but, you know, this is what we began talking about. Like, are we over, you know, hyperprotective or mollycoddling the child?
Also, I think, you know, with older kids, you know, there's still a lot of bias. I mean, there are many more career options and all that, but still, you know, it's a very traditional outlook with many parents that why is a boy doing humanities in school? Yeah, of course, there is, even now, that, you know, a boy is doing humanities, or if a boy wants to pursue the fine arts or go to, like, say, the Delhi College of Art, I mean, there'll be a very few parents who would agree with this kind of a choice. Or supposing the boy wants to become an actor or a singer, you know, mainstream. So there are still a lot of biases with that also.
Or a house husband, like women have become liberated, they want to be financially independent, but I think men still don't have that choice, right?
Yeah.
That.
I think it's also social conditioning. The most successful woman will come back home and still kind of put the dinner together on the table.
Yeah.
You know, and even the husbands come back from work. But now I must confess, I think gender roles are changing. It's very fluid now, you know. And that's another advantage of new age parenting, that gender roles are not definite.
Yeah.
You know, you can do, the mother can do anything, the father can do anything, and it's all right. And I think that is a very, very big advantage of new age parenting. It's a welcome change.
But careers now, are there, I mean, the point that Anjali made, are there some careers for boys, some for girls? Now that is no longer the case.
I find a shift there, a very welcome shift, at least in the kind of people we work with. They're open for their kids exploring whatever they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I find a nice, very welcome.
I think yes, maybe a shift is happening, but I would say, like, you know, they are still, that would be like a very smaller pocket.
Maybe
60-70% is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. That's what
the
people
we deal with, the people who are sending their kids overseas for higher education, they're open for the exploration. And I don't find this mindset really interfering with career selection or major selection.
But on the whole, is there something that you feel that you missed out on, which today's generation has access to?
Most certainly. I went to my daughter's university and spent a month there this summer. And just the beauty of the campus, the availability, and you know, the choice of courses and minors, majors. It took me a while to understand it before she went to college. But, and I went to GCG in Chandigarh, right? Starting with MCM and moving on to GCG. So I was like, if I had this, you know, the world would be a different oyster I'd have created for myself, you know. But having said that, no complaints. I think life is good.
I agree with you totally. I wish we had all the choices and the opportunities we've given our kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, she spoke communication. How do you understand this generation, Gen Alpha? What language do they speak? Do they speak in full sentences also?
No. They speak in messaging language. They message you in that weird language. They fill their college applications like that. I have to pull them up and say, do you know what capital letters are? Yeah. Will you start your name with a capital or with a lowercase? You know? So.
And how do they write a para? They can't write beyond.
Handwriting has become so bad.
Handwriting has become horrible.
We have ChatGPT helping us today. That becomes another challenge for us. You know? Getting them to express themselves, tell their own story rather than using AI to tell their stories. So that's another challenge we're dealing with right nowadays.
And are they able to write full pages and full this thing, or do you have to really nudge them along?
We have to nudge them along, and like since we're talking about parenting, we always have parents who are willing to step in. I must tell you a very hilarious one, in fact. So this student writing an essay for Stanford, and I get this essay which says, Stanford is a shrine, and I am being tasked by talking about how I can contribute to this shrine. As a devout Hindu, we have been taught to offer our labor to our shrine. Now, this is obviously not a 17-year-old. This is a parent pitching in and writing a lousy essay.
Yeah.
A lousy essay.
I agree.
So, yeah,
So you have to
some pitfalls of parenting.
That is true. But on the whole, it's been a very educative talk, I must say, trying to connect with this generation. And I think this is a challenge we're going to keep facing because everybody keeps evolving. The language is evolved, the medium is evolved, the access, the content, everything keeps changing. But we are here trying to keep up with the times, really. But thank you so much for this show, and thank you all for coming on it. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.